Welcome to this episode of Ready Fire In podcast, where we meet with thought leaders and industry experts to talk about what's driving innovation in business today. I'm your host, Thad Barnes, and today I'm speaking with Rob Locascio. Robert is the founder and CEO of KidCo.ai, a revolutionary company based in Los Altos, California, that has developed the Kid device. It's a device designed to empower creators of tomorrow in a safe, engaging space using AI tools to bring their creativity and ideas to life. Rob, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Tad. I appreciate it.
So you've been in the kind of internet technology space since like the mid 90s. Like this is not your first rodeo.
No, yeah, I started a company, Live Person, in 1995, and I invented web chat. So if you ever chatted on a website for customer care, I invented that technology in 1998, and then took the company public in 2000, and then built it to being a multi-billion-dollar company, and then left about 3 years ago to pursue the kid.
Gotcha. I just really quick, I feel like AI and chatbots on websites. Now you're kind of the godfather of this, right?
Yeah,
So
I got
I
yeah.
I feel like people are like shoehorning AI into chatbots rather than creating something different. And that's seems like what the kid device is taking AI chat and making something unique.
Yeah, we were when I was at Live Person, we were like we were leading provider. We call it conversational AI in the contact center. So when you chat or message and you got the chat bot, that was my company's tech. So I was deep into it, and what I saw there was like a commodity. Like I didn't. You're right. The fidelity wasn't very good. Even though we were processing a billion conversations, I thought there's a better way to create engagement using AI, and that's tapping into like the power of creativity. So how do we create like a character for a child, or how does a child create their own character, which can help them through their day or be a buddy in doing something? So that was one part of what we wanted to bring to the kid device. And by
It
the way, make
seems
it safe. I don't want to jump in, but everything we're going to talk about here is this device was made for children between the ages of 4 and 12. I have kids 9, 7, and 4. Like, focused on, we want to protect them, but give them the power of AI because of the AI generation.
Yeah, that it's an interesting thing, especially when you bring up safety, right? Because I feel like people that are on, they're having their kids essentially doom scrolling on YouTube Kid.
Oh,
It's a nightmare, right?
yeah, and that's what did it for me. What did it for me is we would see our children be influenced, and they are being influenced by people who are not aligned to our family's values. No matter what your family values are, I'm saying my 4-year-old says the F word after he watches YouTube Kids. And we were like, whoa. And so he thinks it's funny because someone said on YouTube Kids, hey, that's effing funny, or that's effing something. And he's like, oh, that's effing funny. He doesn't even know what it means. And yet he's saying that. And then we saw my middle son, he's like he's like an addict to this stuff. I mean, literally, I wake up in the morning, my phone's gone. And he's like, he's hiding because he knows we want to go get it. And then I take it from him and he's in a meltdown because he's scrolling like you're right, they have tapped into the worst part of a child's brain and making them addicted. And the problem is we have these phones, so our kids see us with them. So it's not even like we can say anything, but we know how to control ourselves with them. Maybe. And our
Maybe, yeah,
kids,
some of
maybe.
us
I'm
do.
saying that's also in debate right now. But I'm just saying, a parent does not want to hurt their children, and that's what my wife and I felt like we're doing. We're hurting our kids because we need a break in the day, because it's easy for us to eat at dinner at night when we're out, and we get them to do their thing versus running around a restaurant. So these are the things, and it's a bad tool. It's a bad tool for that. Now there's a substitute. Now there's the kid device. So
It's not every day you meet somebody or run into somebody or get to spend some time with somebody that's willing to take on, the big alphabet. Um, how does the kid device do that particularly? You mentioned like virtual friends and creativity, but let's dive into the nuts and bolts of it.
yeah, so we have on the device, we have a couple of different areas. So this is the kid device, and it has three different areas. One area is for them to be their best creators, and in here I can create. They can create images, music, stories, and buddies on their own just by talking to the device. So you know, I,
It,
I want to create an image of a unicorn flying over a lake with palm trees. Okay, so it'll start to make this magic. So imagine a child has this idea and an image in their head, and there it is. There it is.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Right. And then I can create stories. So like I do bedtime stories with my children here, and then we create it together, and then we can listen to a whole story. Like here's a story. Just create,
Frank was a happy little puppy with shiny, wagging tail. One sunny morning, he sniffed the grass and found something buried under a big oak tree.
My 4-year-old
It
and
was
I
a
created this whole story and plot line, and it got created within a minute and a half. And that's the power of that part, is that the children can create right out of their imagination. I tell you, the first time they create something out of their imagination, it appears on the screen. It's a very powerful, exciting thing, just as exciting as doom scrolling, because we're tapping into a different part of their brain, but it's a part that allows them to see what's in their head come to reality.
And is there a lot of or any training involved? Like, do you have to have your device trained to learn the child's voice or how they interact or anything like that?
No, they can come right on. Basically, as a parent, you have an app, and then you pair it with the device to get it started. You tell the device what the child's age is, so that it knows exactly what the child is, and basically it sets the device up so it speaks to the child for their age group. If they're 6, it talks to it with simpler words. If they're 12, it'll be more complex, even the images and everything. So, the beauty of the app is that I also, as a parent, here's the app, my app, and I also can see everything that's going on. So let's see the photo. This is Leonardo. Hang on, and I can see all the photos that he was making. Okay, and so I have the power to do that. I can also see their vocabulary, like how is the vocabulary growing as they use this device. So education is also a big part that we can get into.
And are there parental controls that you can tweak the device from your side? Like, I see that they're progressing. Maybe they're 6, but they're really operating at an 8-year-old level. I want to tweak that up.
Yeah, you could then, if you wanted to, you could change. If you said, look, it's going to move with them. I don't know. Every parent always thinks their kids are smarter than they are. Uh,
Right.
so you could change the age and up the age automatically. It'll automatically up the age as the child's growing, so it knows the age of the child on the day and its birthday. So then it'll just progress with the child anyway. The other thing is that it has that you can, like, it automatically, if the child says something bad, it'll kind of ignore it, or it'll land the child in a certain place. So it's made for kids. They can't do anything with the characters that's unsafe or any of that. Plus, the parents can program in, if you want to program your own, let's say, words that are specific that you would like the device never to say, that are related to, let's say, your values of your family, and you want to put them in here, you can put those words in here too.
So there's extreme detailed control for parents, which is great because you know it, does it encourage the parents to utilize that? Because one of the things that when you and I were growing up, I think we're in similar age groups, but there was this idea that Madonna was raising Gen X, right? Parents were just sitting us in front of TVs and going off and doing other things, and it seems to have progressed even further. But how do you encourage parents to really be involved in this?
It's quite interesting because the my normal mode of operation with this device is I just hand it to them, and I don't want to be around it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you don't want to remember. But with this one, like, you're engaged with the kid. Like, I create stories with my kids at night, so I'm like, they'll talk to it, and I'm talking to it, and we're building it together, and then magic happens. And so, like, my daughter a couple weeks ago wanted to do, on a Saturday she wanted to make waffles. My normal thing would be like to go to here and Google it and give her a recipe. We set up a character here for cooking, and the character took her through it, and I was helping her with it, but the character was really good. And even the it was the batter was too thick. The character said, add like a tablespoon of milk, and the batter got better. So it's very interesting because you're no longer it's not a disconnected experience. You're connecting with your children through a creative experience, versus, what's going on here. You just don't want to be a part. I'm not going to doom scroll with my kid on my chest at night, but I'm putting my kid to bed while making, a story or talking to a character. So
What what type of language models are you using? I'm assuming you've developed your own in-house. You're not like integrated into Claude or something.
No, we have our own models. We do use some models for imagery and stuff like that that we get from external models, but they're all trained around this child's age group. So they can't create anything to, once again, harm themselves. They can't engage in conversations that would be harmful to them. If they do create a conversation with a character, the character will start to take them down a path. So like here's the four favorite characters, and then there's a list of all the characters here. But I could just talk to a character and say, hey, I'm feeling a little sad today. My best friend, he didn't like want to talk to me at school. I don't know. Do you have any advice?
I'm sorry you're feeling sad. Maybe talk to your friend nicely and ask how he's doing. Sometimes friends just need a little time. Want to play a fun game to cheer up?
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, maybe I need like my talk to my parents. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just very confused. So
That's okay, feeling confused is normal. Talking to your parents is a good idea. They care about you a lot. Want to imagine a fun adventure where we solve a mystery together?
so that's what they're so it'll kind of take them down a path. Anyway, yeah, the characters are all made for fun and safety. They're also a lot of fun. So
And how do you so I could see, and there's stories out there with some of the LLMs out there where people are getting they're not doom scrolling because they're chatting, but they're getting so deep into this thing as their friend. How do you kind of balance that between them seeing the kid device as their friend and then real friends in the real world?
yeah, I just think if you look at where these things where our characters end up, they're always ending up in a place of like, let's create something. Like you heard at the end of the thing, do you want to create a game? Do you want right? So the real function of it is to get there. It's not to end up in the weird place. We're not trying to create. And I heard the CEO of Character AI. I was at a conference yesterday, and they're the main provider. They provide these characters that you can talk to, and that's where you see a lot of the addiction and problems. A couple kids commit suicide. It was a whole thing because they're opening it up to the world, and he said, well, we're no longer going to have teenagers are allowed on the platform, which you can get into the platform. I saw it, but I'm saying like either you make the platform for the kids or you don't. But if you're going to blend it between kids and adults and wacky people and crazy, because ultimately they want engagement. We want engagement through creative exercises. They just want engagement through whatever. That's a huge difference. We're not just trying to get silly engagement for that. We're trying to get engagement that takes a kid to be a great creator, feel connected, share stuff. That's how the device was. That's why it's called Keep It Dreaming. So
So this device is segregated or separated from the rest of the internet, right? This is a whole ecosystem in and of itself.
that's right, and that's why at night I'll even let my kids take it into their room and use it because they can't get anywhere. There's nothing in here. They can't get to the internet. They can't get to YouTube Kids. They can't watch movies. They can do educational. There's educational content. There are some games in here like tic tac toe and learning games. Um, Look, we have to make it fun in the end. The games are pretty fun. There's like Geometry Dash and things like that. So we have a series of games for them to play. But a lot of times they just do stories or they want to talk to the characters and before they go to bed. So
I love the idea that it seems very I don't know how this will come across, but it seems like a Mr. Rogers influenced idea, right? Where this is about the kids. This is solely for the kids and in their benefit, not for a, some weird corporate kind of gain.
yeah, look, when I grew up on Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street, I think those were, I mean, I guess we could debate it, but they had a standard. There were standards and like ideas there that I feel are universally were good. It was like about community and connection. And we know we don't need the research or the books. We as parents see that the stuff they're exposed to, like YouTube Kids, is not Sesame Street. It's not Mr. Rogers. It's nothing. It's not Scooby Doo. It's it's people trying to create an addictive behavior with your children under any circumstance so they can sell advertising. Like we don't have advertising here and we never will. Like you pay a subscription fee. It's a transparent model. It's your device. It's your family's device. It's got your family's content. We are going to allow other content in, but you've got to prove it. There's going to be a marketplace, so you can share content. Kids can share content, but it's in a marketplace. You can say, wow, that's a great thing for my child. But nothing gets forced in. There's no scrolling forced in thing for advertising. So, and that's really what we want to avoid. Look, I made it for my kids. Like I'm not trying to get my kids addicted to a device so I can get them out of this device. I took it to heart that I could give something to my kids first. And from there, then I could share it with the world.
How do you, you bring up an interesting point about bringing in, you know, people that create things and it has to be approved by the parent. I noticed that you're going to feature like weekly kid creations, right? So if I want to follow Jessica because she's creating really cool stuff and I want to see it more, it feels like it could get into that area where you're just addicted to someone else's content. How do you combat that?
Look, the content is these stories and the characters. There's ways that you can make games to make them addictive, and so this is not made for that world. It's made for, once again, tapping into the creative aspects of a child and a child creating things to share with their friends. And so I don't know, we'll see where it goes, but I think the most important thing for everyone is we're trying to build this company a little differently, like to defeat the powers to be and to get our children off these devices truly, like authentically. We're going to have to be together as a community. Like I've said, like the first 5,000 families we're putting in this dreamers um, group. There's a Facebook group, there's all that, but this is malleable. This can change. So yes, if we start to see a behavior happening on the device, then the parents are paying for it. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to put ad dollars around it. That's the thing. Like I'm not trying, like addictive behavior doesn't solve anything for me business wise. You have to feel great about as a parent, like I do, and that's only going to be from you feeling like they're getting engagement with creative content that is positive. And the parents have a great hand in here because they can create the content. They can stop content from going in. It doesn't automatically come here. So the parents have a lot of power on what is exposed to their children. But I can't
Right.
answer all the questions, right? Will there be some cool character that every kid wants to talk to all the time? I think there'll be children creating really cool characters to share with us, and people may want to talk to for hours. Obviously, you don't want your kid just sitting talking to a character for hours. So you take the parent out and then limit it. It's fine. You know.
When a child ages out of the device, so, they turn 13, 14, 15, now they have other interests. How can they like save that information and, relive it later? How do they save those kind of memories?
Yeah, actually, everything that's created here gets saved into a web interface that we can just give to we. Yeah, so everything we don't have access to. Like we give access to it. Like if a parent shares a picture, they can share it on social. They can share and show, oh, my kid made this story. So we have everything technically on a web interface too. So if they're not using the device, then they can get it through the web and create it. I actually, what I'd like to do though, I want to create a device in the future that children can take to college with them. You know what I'm saying? Start them here, but have something that we're sort of been looking at a pendant, has a round sort of interface, much smaller. But that's kind of the next step. The first step here is just to, get this in the hands of the families, get them to understand we can provide stuff that you can trust. And then there's a future product line there somewhere. But the first part we have is the kid device. And plus it has a great speakers, like the sound, like you can make music. I'll show you, like, here's some music that we were making. Like it's got, here's another I can so I don't and people will just say like, oh, I want jazzy music with a micro with a violin in it. It makes it, you know what I'm saying? So it does all this cool sound. Yeah.
And you're creating all these pieces of content with your kids. It seemed like we've gotten away from that like nuclear family unit, and this seems like it really brings people back together, and it's so pleasing to see and to hear about.
Yeah, and the other part is like it's a great way to assist my children in their learnings. So I could set up we set up characters to do as like helpers for them to learn math and and things like that. We also have like I get I get the kids come home with these curriculums of like math, and it's a PDF or it's printed out paper. You can bring that into the device, and there's an education area here, and then I click on that, and that becomes a piece of AI content. So I can play this as a let's see,
Addition is putting
it's
numbers
about
together
addition.
to find a total. For
Okay.
example, if you have 2 apples and you get 3 more, you add 2 plus 3 to find out you have 5 apples. Subtraction
And
is
then what it does is it gives me a quiz at the end, so I can take a quiz, and then so I can see, and ask me questions. What does addition mean? Here's the answers. Take away from a number, putting numbers together to find a total, counting by tens, sharing with friends. So it gives me a way to take that curriculum and bring it onto the device also.
So yeah, not just creativity, but actually learning. And is it based on STEM in general?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the foundation is STEM, and also we have a store here in Los Altos, California, in Silicon Valley, and we do after school programs for teaching kids about AI. We're going to bring those online. So those first 5,000 families, we're going to also do online courses, so your kids actually learn about AI, not just use the device, but the device becomes part of them. Like, how do you prompt? How is it like? How do you create an image with AI? Like we actually do a test of like, here's a real image, here's an AI image, which one's real or not. So there's a whole program we take kids through for like 4 weeks on learning about AI, and then the device is incorporated in that. So yeah, so we're using this STEM as like a foundation for that.
Do you envision these shops popping up in other locations? Like I could see this being really popular.
Yeah, I mean I see them as experiences like the vision of it's called Playground is the name of our store. And the vision of that is the kids come in, which they do today. We did summer courses, so we had kids all throughout the summer. Parents were outside. It looks like a lodgy type of thing. So it looks really cool and kids love it. But the parents can hang out too. And they know that inside their kids are learning something great around AI, and outside they're hanging out, parents talking, having coffee. Um, People do birthday parties there. We have a broader vision that one day the kids could walk in with their devices, and the it'd be a darker space, but the walls could bring their stories to life, but in large size. Like imagine, yeah, and this already exists. I saw this at a museum that we have a partnership with down here in Silicon Valley Museum, and in San Jose, and they have a whole room, an AI room, where you walk around like everything is virtual. It moves with you. You put your hand out. So I could see there's a broader thing I'd like to do with the stores. Right now, they're really about education for the kids and bringing the families in. So
Yeah. I could see this like a kind of like a story time at a library for kids, and
yeah,
but an independent thing where you put it in a strip mall somewhere or shopping center or whatever, but kids come and from the neighborhood next door and those kinds of things. And I sort of think of like You've Got Mail, right? And when they did story time in the bookstore, I think of something like that where it's
yes.
intimate and safe and really cool.
And I think the other thing is like, parents are starting to create things for the device to match. Sometimes their kids are on the spectrum, and there's things like that. So I also envision like parents coming together talking about, hey, I created this curriculum, I created this story, I created this character, and let's talk it through. Like my kid has this issue, and I create something for all of you, and let's go through it. So once again, I see this device as a reason to create a community around how we use this technology, which is AI, and how we use it as a force for good, and harness it as parents to help us, because being a parent is hard. Raising kids, I got 3 kids that are young. My wife and I, we it's hard. Everyone who's out there can shake their head and understand it. Like this is, you know, it doesn't make up for date night, but it sure like at least gets the kids to be engaged in something that makes you feel great, and gives you back your time as a parent, and allows them to be engaging in AI in a very positive way.
Do you see kids taking AI? These kids now are going to grow up with AI. Do you see LLMs as kind of the evolution of AI, or do you see them getting kind of walled off and more personal AI as the path?
I see personally, and I have another company which is called UR.ai, and we're all about building personal models. And so when I think about AI from my perspective, the current narrative is there's these large models that aggregate everyone's knowledge, and they're smarter than us, and eventually we lose our jobs. And I see the other side where we've got these very personal models that we're using our data, our personal data, our professional data to train. This is what we do today at my other company. And those actually can live on a device like a kid device or on your mobile device. As in, I think the world getting smaller and you having your own AI that you bring to work or you bring to your personal life is a much more powerful thing, because your AI would never hurt you. That's what I always say. Like, your own AI would never hurt you. It's not going to try to take your job. It's going to try to enhance your ability to get leverage on your time, to do better at work, to understand and maybe manage your kids better. You know, and so that's the world I'm creating of AI between these two companies, helping children, helping adults, and using AI in a way that's not an existential threat. You know, the stuff that's happening now, like that Sora app, that OpenAI put, it's got all this imagery that people are creating, and a lot of it is just bad. I saw one of Martin Luther King. They made him stutter on the "I Have a Dream" speech, and I just thought, I don't know why that's funny. I think it's like you're taking something that was so iconic and making a joke out of it. Which, okay, everyone has the right to do it, but like my 4-year-old, if he looked at that, may actually think that's how that speech went down. Imagine my 4-year-old's first experience with "I Have a Dream" is Martin Luther King stuttering in front of people
And
and
others
sounding like he
laughing at it.
didn't have a coherent thought, when
Yeah.
that was the most powerful speech in history, top speeches in history that's been recorded. And yet the first exposure for our children could be something that's fake. And for OpenAI, that's fun and that's cool and it's a meme, and they had Logan Paul behind all that or whatever the other and it's like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why that's good. We have the powers as to come together and do good stuff with this technology.
I like the idea of more personal AI enhancing what I do or what I can do or what I could become, rather than I'm not a world class physicist and I need to use LLMs to have it act like a world class physicist for me. That just seems disingenuous in some way.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if they have their power, when we think about those models, like if I can aggregate all the world's scientific knowledge, to have that aggregated could be a wonderful thing. But there are pieces of it that aggregated ideas are not great. That's all it is. And by the way, like, they've tried to sell us a concept that these things have their own intelligence. They don't. They are very dumb machines. And if as we put more and more of our intelligence and our data into them by using them every day, they seem to get smarter. But if everyone in the world said, I'm not using OpenAI anymore, that would stop being smart on that day. It does not have the power to self-learn. It's learning off of us like a parasite. And so that it's just not, and they're selling that this thing's smarter than us. It's not smarter than us. It is taking our knowledge and aggregating it. So
It's not doesn't seem like, at least currently, that it's creating anything new, any new knowledge. It's just regurgitating what it already knows.
yeah. So like I said, with like, if we can think about the power of creativity, like children have an unlimited imagination. And now, like, my 4-year-old can't make a picture like we just showed here, but he can create it right from his mind. And it's so exciting to see that thing happen. So even sometimes we're waiting at school and he likes to create some pictures. He always likes to create sharks eating a crab, or he loves these like same scenarios. He just likes to see how they depict themselves each time we say it. Shark eating a whale. That's what he thinks is funny. So I'm saying, tapping into that creative power, I think that's what AI can do for us, not take our jobs or hurt our children, which is an alternative. If we don't get our hands around this, that's the path we could be on. So
Which is scary, really.
scary to me. Yeah.
This entire company is created around the idea of protecting children and kids, but you have some kids in some really unique positions in this company as well.
Yeah. I mean, we have my son who's 7. We call him I'm the CEO, or the founder, and he's the KEO, the Kid Executive Officer. So, he really inspired me. I mean, when I left Live Person, we were talking about, he actually had a company called Kid Company. It was a fake company he created with his friends. And I thought it was a great name for a company. So I'm like, Kid, Like if you're going to create something for, and especially adults have that inner kid in them, which is just awesome. And I think it's like the part that makes it so fun. Unfortunately, as we go through life, it can get like stamped down a little bit. So I thought like, let's give this back to parents too. But yeah, he's been the inspiration. He's obviously the guy, he's beta testing. He has a lot of ideas on the device. But yeah, he's been really like, he's kind of my, we're like partners in the business.
It's so cool to see kids taking an active interest in business too, right? Because they're the future, and when we're old and gray, and we're going to need them
Yeah.
to be creative, to be involved in business, and to use AI responsibly. So I really appreciate what you're doing with this, Rob, and I'm super excited to see where it goes from here.
Thanks a lot, Todd. And thanks for having me on here. And by the way, if you go to the Kid website, it's first month free for coming through, listening to this podcast. And we just started selling them like 5 days ago. So every day people are coming in. It's really exciting. We have a limited supply. We have a couple of thousand, about 3,000 for the holidays. So we're just doing a very limited run. And then we'll expand from there. But we just want to sort of like get it into the hands of those first families that want to be part of something, part of the change. That's really what this is about. So we're not a toy company. We're not like just trying to do a one and done, buy it and you're over. This is a long-term relationship between yourself, our company, and your children, and to make it a positive experience. So,
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Rob. I really appreciate it. And yeah, best of luck to you and everybody out there. Please go check
thanks,
it out. Tell your friends, tell your families.